evening filled with paranormal, special guests, interviews, haunting stories, creatures of the unknown, and tales that will chill you to the bone. Brought to you by the UPRN Network and Pittsburgh Paranormal Society. Take a walk into the night with Shawn Kelly.
Good evening, everybody. This is Shawn Kelly. Into the night. How are you guys doing tonight? Doing great. Kind of had like a crappy Christmas, and so when it comes down to my depression and the mental illness, I consider depression and anxiety. There was a little problem with it, where my son came in from Indiana on a Sunday. And what happened was he caught COVID and he had to go back home again, back to Indiana. And so it was like kind of like a bummer type of thing. I don't know. Besides that, thank God for my medication that I take for my depression because, it really, really, really helps me out. Now, the doctor did put me on a larger dose. But you know what? I guess it's working, so it's working. But I just want everybody to know out there, quit, hey, Carmen, tell your husband, he's messing with you. There it is, there's the coffee. But everybody that has mental illness or are going through some hard times, I'm thinking about you, I'm praying for you, and just take it one day at a time. And you know what? Everything's going to be okay because it really is. Now, to the show. All right. So sent me this little intro that I want to read. But first of all, Carmen, is you on?
I'm here.
Oh, you're here? Good, good. Let me tell you a little bit about Carmen before I read her intro. Back in 2006, March 6th, 2006, Carmen was a waitress. And I just got back from Gettysburg, and I sat down there having my coffee and iced tea, and I told her I want to start a ghost hunting group. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there she is. If it wasn't for this young lady right here who did all the paperwork and stuff like that, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. And we had some good investigations, didn't we, Carmen?
Yeah, I forgot to go through some of my stuff earlier today. When I first moved to our new house a couple years ago, I found the original CD from Blue Mist Road.
Oh my God!
With our original pictures from Blue Mist Road, so I'm an OG.
You are the OG, honey. You are the OG. Those are some fun times back then, huh? Now, what's funny? Was funny, right? Everybody that we'd go on investigations like Blue Mist Road or a cemetery or something like that. And what was that song I used to sing? There is someone
right behind you.
It
is me.
And it was the freak. She used to get freaked out. But man,
that was creepy as heck. Why would you sing that?
Creepy out. To have fun, but mainly the creepy out.
Oh wait, what was your pump up? Your pump up song was Phil Collins.
Yeah. Into the Night.
Yep.
And then we got into some, what was a Death Angel or something like that. And we had a couple of them.
Oh, our arch enemy. You got into the death metal, yeah. That was you and the other guys.
Oh yeah. Those are some good times. Hi Liz. Hi Stuart. Liz, Stewart, I want you to meet Carmen. She's like my daughter now. I gotta say, I got some gray hairs now. But
same. That's why I dye
it. No, not you. Hey, you gotta get that haircut, man. Seriously. Yeah.
It's like my strength right now.
Yeah.
When I put it up in my pineapple ponytail, something serious is gonna happen.
That I do know. I'm telling you, man, she might stand like 4'8", boy, but she got a punch. The girl got a punch, man. So, tell them what you're doing now. I mean, if you go on TikTok like I do, you lift weights, don't you? Tell us
I
about that.
do. I am a amateur, and I say that like I'm an amateur power lifter.
Hmm.
I I've been working out with a trainer for going on 10 years now. I'm kicking my butt for 10 years. I go see her twice a week, and for years she kind of pushed me to lift heavier, heavier. And for the longest time, I thought, no, I just want to lose weight. I just want to get toned. I just want to be fit, and wasn't really working. But our gym had an in-house powerlifting competition in 2019, and just kind of like, you know, nothing like it was like not like a big prize or nothing. It was just like other people that belonged to the gym, just kind of doing the powerlifting thing, kind of for bragging rights. We all had pizza and beer afterwards. But a lot of the other women that I was working out with were like, yeah, let's just do it. Let's just go have fun, see how it goes. And I loved it. I mean, I loved it. I loved how every single person in that gym, whether they knew me or didn't know me, every single person was cheering for somebody. And even
Hmm.
if they were out lifting somebody else, lifting heavier weights, they still wanted to see you do something cool. So that kind of, I don't know, like that culture of just being with other people, like minded individuals that know how hard you work and know what you're doing and what you're putting in. And even if they are lifting heavier weights than you, it's still pretty amazing to see somebody hit a PR, a personal record for themselves.
Right.
So that's kind of why I like lifting
You hit
weights is,
many personal records, I see. Yeah. How much weight
yeah.
can you lift? He goes, Stuart wants to know how
uh,
much weight
so I
do you
set
lift?
Well, I did a competition for RPS Federation at the beginning of November, and I set a state record with my deadlift for my age group and weight class. I hit 340 pounds
Damn,
for a
girl.
deadlift.
Holy shit. That means you can deadlift my ass, no problem.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. She's a little spark plug, man. But the reason why I got you on the show is you have a podcast coming up starting in January. And
yeah.
it's called, what was it called again?
Fear
Um,
embodied.
Fair Embodied. It's it's at Fair Embodied Pod. So
Hmm.
I'm gonna. She gave me this little
Pod.
intro, so I'm gonna read this to her. It's the second one, not the first one you wrote. Liz says, "Hi, Carmen. Say hello to Liz, Carmen."
Hey.
Okay. So this is her little bio. Hi, Chris. We're a little podcast that wants to shine a light on humanity's greatest fears personified, diving into more just the stories we know and enjoy, asking deeper questions that dive into the fear and what it says about who we are. But it won't always be dark and brooding. We'll talk about myths, legends, pop culture references, psychology, and more than anything. Just have fun talking about scary and creepy stuff. Anything from Bigfoot to aliens to zombies and serial killers. Fear Embodied will have lots to dissect and discuss. I'm proud of you. I'm proud
Thank
of you.
you.
I'm proud of you. Um, Literally, I just when you told me that you were doing the podcast, when you messaged me about a month ago and you told me about it, I was like, yeah, that's the girl. Yeah. See everybody, she's like my little shadow. If it ain't for ghost hunting and she getting into the podcast and stuff like
I
that.
know. Hey, this is a product of the pandemic, honestly. I feel
Um,
like
okay.
everybody kind of, if you didn't have one before the pandemic, everybody kind of thought about making one in the
Right.
pandemic.
No, true, true. So what brought this on? What?
I've had this idea for a couple of years. I told my husband about it. I was like, I'm going to do a podcast, or he always said to me that I should do a podcast, or we should do a podcast. And I'm like, I don't know what I'd talk about. I don't have
Hmm.
any idea what I'm going to say. And I don't know. He kind of got me to think about it a little bit deeper over the summer, and he said, if you had to do one, if you were going to do one, what would you talk about? It's like, obviously monsters, because I like monsters. I like scary stuff. And he kind of got my brain thinking, okay, well, in what way are you going to talk about monsters? If you can come up with 20 ideas, for a topic that you could talk about for an hour, let's see what we've got. And I came up with 26, without even thinking, without even trying. I had 26 ideas. He's like, okay, yeah, we're going to make this a podcast. So was my husband kind of pushing me.
Will you get him in the picture with you?
They want you in the picture.
Yeah, get your butt in here. Come on.
Come on, they want
He's
you
looking
in.
at you looking for encouragement.
Because he's sitting over here. He didn't. He wasn't feeling the best, and he's
there
being
he
bummed.
is. All right, brother.
That's my producer, the man behind the camera.
You are a lucky dude. You are really a lucky dude.
Said you're a lucky dude.
That I am.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So you were saying that you brought this idea up for the last couple of years, right? And
yep.
So explain, where can somebody come listen to you? How does that work? I'm not really good at podcasts, so I'm actually on radio.
So Mastermind over here, we're going to produce our podcast through Anchor. It's an app that's free, and I don't know the whole behind the scenes stuff, but he's pretty familiar with it. But basically, when you do the production through Anchor, you upload all your stuff and it'll automatically send it out. So I know off the bat, it'll go to Apple Music and Spotify. So those will be the first two locations that you can find our podcast. And then as we kind of go, if we start to get, more traction, we'll figure out if we can go on other platforms from there.
If the plan after Spotify and Apple will be on YouTube.
Okay. All right, that's awesome. Our show's on YouTube. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. 1 minute. Into the Night is on UPRN Radio 105.3 out of New Orleans, and so that's where we're at. And maybe Carmen, maybe, I'll have my producer Joe check out your show a couple of times. Maybe we can get you on here for a couple of times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing pretty good for this late show. I mean, I get
you are.
I am. I get a lot of I got decent numbers in our first show, Chasing Prophecy. That is really has taken off since we moved to Tuesday nights doing a 2-hour show.
Yeah.
But I was a little hesitant at first, but you know me, I got to jump in and start talking about it. Never, it's really crazy, was for me at the beginning was that we talked about aliens and UFOs and Bigfoot and all that crap. And I was like, I'm nowhere near this. I don't have a clue what the
I'm
hell.
with you. That's him. Yeah. He has to talk about the alien. Well, first of all, aliens scare the crap out of me. That is my biggest. That is my biggest fear.
The mouse walking across the floor near you will scare the crap out of you too.
Right. But aliens scare the crap out of me. So this guy, he's the alien guru. So that time when we get to that subject, he's going to be taking over, and I'll be the guest that night.
Okay. But I've learned so much being on this show. Being on Chasing Prophecy, and in being on Chasing Prophecy and working with Jenny, and I work with Jason, who's in the group, and then there's Trish. I love it. I like it a lot, and I've talked about doing this back in 2006, 2007.
Oh yeah,
a lot of times, but. Never gave it a thought. I thought about it, but I just didn't know which way to go. And
it was still kind of new even back then. YouTube was even still new for putting videos out.
Right. Even podcast wasn't even thought of back then.
I don't even think that was a thing back in 2006. Maybe a couple years later, like 2008, 2009, give or take. But yeah, that still would have been really early for even that technology.
Right. So what was your very first monster, or are you going to hold my people in suspense. What is the first one?
The first one is going to be a double creature feature. It's gonna be Bigfoot and werewolves.
Bigfoot and werewolves. Okay. So why do you like Bigfoot? Why?
I don't know a
What
whole
is
lot
it
about Bigfoot actually, so this is kind of an interesting subject for me.
Okay.
Is doing the research, the behind the scenes, because I don't know. I know like the basic general things about Bigfoot, but I figure he's a pretty big one that a lot of people have a lot of mystery behind. There's a lot of lore that he would be a really good one to tie in with the werewolves.
Most people are generally familiar with Bigfoot,
Okay.
Yeah,
which would make it a great topic for a pilot.
yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I forget what ours was. I think ours was on aliens.
Yours was on aliens. Yeah,
On
aliens were
aliens.
probably one of the early ones, just
But
because,
you know
like
what?
I said, it scares the crap out of me. I want to get it out of here.
Aliens are cool, man. Aliens are cool. But no, with the Bigfoot and what I've learned, and just like you, when I started chasing prophecy, we had a lot of people. Stan Gordon was on, John Ventry from MUFON, and other people. And whenever I started listening to these people, okay, talk about Bigfoot and the different situations that they're in the different lore, whatever you want to call it, it became fascinating, And I think at one time we did a whole month on Bigfoot and aliens, and I've learned a lot, So if I can give you a suggestion, listen to other podcasts that talk about Bigfoot and do the research, I mean, I think up where you live, you're in Westmoreland County, aren't you?
No, we're actually Johnstown, so we're Cambria.
Oh shit! I mean, come on, Bigfoot country up there, buddy. Bigfoot country.
Dude, you don't even know. There's some kind of crazy stuff that goes up on here in these mountains. Let me tell you.
Well, tell me, tell my viewers, please.
Well, we used to live. We used to live before we moved a couple years ago. We used to live a little bit closer to, is it the Edge, Laurel Edge?
It's Laurel Mountain Summit.
Laurel Mountain Summit. We used to live closer to Laurel Mountain Summit, and we're fairly certain that there is some kind of. Don't mind him.
That's okay.
He's grabbing a chair.
It's okay.
We're fairly certain there's some kind of, like, not Area 51 kind of stuff, but there's just something suspicious going on in those mountains.
So tell me, like, were you walking through the mountains that you thought something was suspicious or what?
2 instances. One morning, early bright morning, winter morning, I was out walking our dog, previous dog, and smoking a cigarette, as we're walking out in the front yard with the dog, and I just kind of happened to look up because I could hear a plane flying overhead. It was early, it was bright because it was sunny outside, and I remember seeing, something kind of silvery flying through the sky. Heard the airplane. I see the airplane coming from a different location, and then just as they're about to kind of cross paths, the something silvery disappears. Right. Airplane keeps going. And then after the airplane goes behind me, the something silvery comes back into view in the exact same spot that it disappeared from, and then it keeps on going on its trajectory.
My dear, you just experienced the UFO.
I know I did.
Yeah, and
in broad daylight, like 8 a.m., broad daylight, sunny, beautiful morning. And then the other creepy thing that happened was well after midnight one night, and
want me to take this one?
Yeah, you take this one because you know this story. So what was the black trucks? Okay. So I'm having him take this one.
Okay, go ahead.
So it was I think it was in fall, and it was around midnight, and I was staying up to actually work on our Wi-Fi system that had gone down. And it was what started off as a slow rumble came into a roar that shook the whole house. And I'm looking around trying to figure out what's going on, and I look outside, and up comes our road. And bear in mind that this is a secondary road, very small 2-lane road, no commercial traffic really to speak of. Yeah. But as I see coming up the road, I see 3 tractor trailers unmarked at probably a 15-mile-per-hour pace coming through.
Oh, wow.
As these are coming through, again, I've never seen a truck or trucks vibrate our house like this did. And they were moving very slow, very tight, and they were heading towards the direction of the mountains. Also during this time, of course, the Wi-Fi went back down, cellular service went down, and then as the trucks rolled by, the Wi-Fi went back up, cellular went back up. And they were also making their way in the direction of the Laurel Mountain summit.
And I think they were covered in tarps, they were dark, and they had very minimal lights on there. Like, they weren't blackout headlights, but they just didn't have a whole lot of headlights on.
No, they were just three identical unmarked tractor trailers. They did have their running lights on, but there was no markings of any type of freight company or anything. Because even a lot of owner operators will have their names or the broker of the shipping company on the trucks. These were blank.
Blank, straight up blank. Now, let me ask you this question. Before those trucks started, when you saw the trucks, anything before that, was there any UFO presence? Was there any type of alien UFO, any kind of weird shit going on? That possibility?
Any weird stuff before they passed?
I just thought that the vibration, that was coming off of these trucks was more than what you would normally get, because we're also a little bit further back from the road.
Yeah, that's true. We had about a good half an acre of yard from the road to the house. We had a good half acre of like wide open, just grass, nothing there.
I just thought that the loss of RF frequencies was very peculiar. And again, running around midnight, because it is illegal for any vehicle that has more than 3 axles or more than 2 axles, to run on that road. So I just felt like it was very deliberate. And again, those trucks were running very close together. And
it's a direct route going. The direction they were heading was straight up to the mountain. And
to give a little context of that mountain, at the top of the Laurel Summit, there is a large gas line.
Really?
There is enough space to fit heavy equipment, to go back these access roads. And there's a lot of hiking on that road, ATVs.
Isn't that game lands up there?
There's state game lands right adjacent to it. So in a conspirator's mind, there is a lot of acreage and room to basically hide something and also move something relatively easily.
So you do know that the UFOs and the government work together. They do have underground alien bases. Do you think there's possible that there could be an underground alien base there?
Do you think it's an underground alien base?
I don't feel like it's alien per se, but I know that, Pennsylvania itself does have a facility that's controlled by the government. I believe it's called Blue Mountain. It's out. It's very close off the turnpike on 76. So if there's one there, and Laurel Mountain being one of the higher elevations in Pennsylvania, it certainly makes sense. And again, the state game lands too, sparsely populated, the gas line, so it wouldn't be uncommon to see a utility truck or trucks or contractors moving in and out of there. It's almost it's a great place to hide in plain sight. And what exactly is in there is anybody's guess. And again, this is just me growing up around this mountain, kind of just noticing things over the years. The instance that Carmen has talked to you about, there's been several other similar things happening around that area for as long as I can remember.
So did you go when you were young? Did you investigate or go out in the woods and walk around and kind of come up with a conclusion what you thought maybe it could be?
Did you ever go exploring and hiking? I should probably just give him the headphones right now.
No, this is the last question for
Let's
him.
see here. No, I did not ever go exploring. It's a really rough terrain back there, and I just was never really equipped to go back there. And you really want to go back there at night, and just it's just something I've never attempted. I just more or less pondered over the years.
But all I know is that now when the weather gets warmer, I'm going to bring my boys up there and we'll see what we can find out because that might be something interesting.
It's really interesting. If you look at Google Earth or what have you, and you follow that gas line back, it runs for miles, and there's a lot of different offshoots. You could really plan a course. I don't know at what point does it become harder to access by foot.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you come off of the road at State Route 711, there's a big pull off. There's a big pull off where you can park, but then you'd have to take it by foot. And again, like I said, this gas line goes for miles, and then there's several different offshoots that you can explore.
Oh, definitely. All right. Thank you for sharing that. May I have Carmen back?
You sure can.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, welcome back. Welcome back, honey.
We had two headphones. I don't know why we didn't plug both headphones in tonight.
Well, I wasn't planning on being on the show tonight.
I told her for you to be on the show. I did. Did I not?
Said the same thing too. Trust me, I said the same thing.
What's that?
To be on the show. That he said that you could be on the show.
Well, I'm not really the star of the show. I just kind of turn knobs and stuff in the background.
He acts as if he does nothing.
No, think about it. Without him, you wouldn't be on a podcast.
Oh, thank you. Exactly. If it wasn't for him, yeah,
right.
This wouldn't be getting off because I have great ideas, but I don't always know how to make them happen. So he keeps me grounded and rooted and helps me actually make those ideas come to life.
Well, let me tell you about Bigfoot, and there's a little thing I'd like to share with you.
Yeah.
Whenever there's a lot of alien activity going around, right? There's usually a Bigfoot involved too.
Okay.
And the reason behind that is the Bigfoot, and I'll take this to my grave from what I've learned and heard, that Bigfoot and UFOs, they go together. All right.
Okay.
Think about it, right? You know, you see a lot of people have these sightings of Bigfoot, right? All right. And all of a sudden they see it and poof, it's gone. It disappears, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I believe that whenever someone spots it, that the Bigfoot goes back into the vortex or the hole in which it came from, because they're on another dimension, and it's crazy. So whenever you see a Bigfoot, I can guarantee you're going to see a ton of aliens, and you're going to see more big ass black trucks coming up your road for that.
Probably.
You know, I got chills going down up and down. I got my spidey senses kicking in.
Yeah.
But so I have no doubt in my mind Bigfoot exists. Okay.
There was a documentary that he just watched too that I have yet to do, but I need to do it as part of my research. What was the Bigfoot documentary?
It's called Sasquatch. It's on Hulu, and it's a 3-part series, basically showcasing a murder that was supposedly carried out by a group of Sasquatch in the Northern California, the Redwood forest region of California. And so this journalist goes out to that area and starts to get eyewitness accounts. Actually, let me correct myself. He was actually in the area in which those murders took place that night. He was working on a pot farm up there, and then a completely spooked worker from another pot farm came over and told them about the murder. And then nothing more came of it, because he wasn't the owner of that farm. He was just kind of working there temporarily,
Mm-hmm.
and they never spoke of it the next day or thereafter. So kind of just was hush hush. And then years later, he became a journalist and decided he wanted to revisit, that story and see what had come up. It's a great episode. I don't want to give it away for you or your listeners. But it really dives into, the Sasquatch legend is still very much alive, so much
Mm-hmm.
so that it still even drives fear into the hearts of people. So
Yeah.
whether the Sasquatch did these murders or not, it still looms large over that community.
Hmm.
Oh, I bet. I know that. Believe it or not, a lot of Bigfoot don't attack people. They really don't. In fact, they usually run away from them. But just like
Yeah.
being a human being, if you are being threatened, of course you're going to take action against, So I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's the way I look at it. I watch all these uh, shows on Bigfoot, and sometimes I think they're a little way out there. You know what I mean? They're a little way out. But you know what? What I have learned to do is respect what they believe in. You know what I mean? Respect that they're UFO hunters or Bigfoot hunters, the Dogman hunter. You ever hear of the Dogman?
I was just talking with him about that. I said, I wonder if I should bring that in on episode 1. He said, well, that one's a little bit more specific to the Midwest, and maybe we'll do that for another episode where it's going to involve other cryptids.
No, see, what I believe in is that the Dogman is part of the werewolf. Okay. And this is my own personal
Yeah.
opinion, that the Dogman is like co-inherent with the werewolf. And I'll tell you what, like, it's amazing. I mean, I go gold prospecting now. All right. And I go down to North Carolina, I go down to Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
and there's times that I'm out there by the creek, and I'm doing my gold and panning, and honest to God, I feel like I'm being watched. You know what I mean? And it's like never one time where I'm like, okay, I know you're there. Just come out and show me. Let me shake your hand. You know, um,
Right.
I believe in aliens. I believe in UFOs, but I like me being a paranormal investigator, right? I've seen ghosts. Okay, so even though I haven't seen an alien yet, okay, I want to shake their hand. And if I can shake the alien's hand or a spaceship come down in my backyard, you know,
Right.
then it would solidify it. You know what I mean? Now I know
Then you'd be
ghosts.
a believer.
Hell, well, no, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm about a 6.5, 7. Okay, so if I saw one and shook hands with it, then I'd be jumping up to 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like really, it's really, really interesting. So what other topics are you going to come up with? Do you want to do anything else beside cryptids?
Yeah. Yeah. So another big one that I'm into is zombies. It's kind of a dead giveaway
Hmm.
for me to talk about zombies. So I've got
Oh,
zombies.
tell me about zombies. Tell me a little about zombies.
Yeah. Uh, I just like zombies. I think being from Pittsburgh, the George A. Romero, bringing back the zombie culture.
Hmm.
And it was one of the first movies I remember watching was Night of the Living Dead. And, we went to that cemetery
Yeah.
where they filmed Night of the Living Dead. And I feel like it's just kind of part of our Pittsburgh culture. If you're a horror fan,
Hmm.
if you like the horror genre, then you should probably like or at least know the George A. Romero films
Oh
and what
yeah,
they were
absolutely.
able to bring to the table.
Hmm.
And it's more than just the zombie itself. even the history of the zombie of is it voodoo? I have to do my research on it, so
Voodoo, yeah.
It's voodoo.
don't
It's
quote me on this,
voodoo.
just
Voodoo.
100%.
It's voodoo.
But I
Voodoo.
think it's
Voodoo.
voodoo, so it wasn't necessarily somebody brought back from the dead, but it was some kind of a ritual where you could kind of like, I don't want to call it slave labor, but almost like, make somebody, in this trance-like state do something that you wanted them to do, and they couldn't really fight against it. So it's like that working,
It was
zombie.
like a trance.
Yeah, like a trance-like state that you could make somebody do something. That was the original zombie. So I have to pay, the homage, the history to where does that zombie come from? What's that from? What culture it is? I want to talk about that a little bit, but I need to do a little bit more research. So when I get to that topic, this is just from what I remember, my little bit of my memory. And then I want to talk about George A. Romero and what he brought with the zombie genre to the horror films. Cause some people can see it as being just a monster movie, just, scary. What are you going to do in an apocalyptic situation when people start rising from the dead? But I think, this is that pop culture reference. I think there was a lot of social commentary that he brought into his films as well, too.
That's pretty. So, what would you do if you met a zombie?
I mean, my answer is I want to tell you I want to pick up a barbed wire baseball bat and beat their heads in, but
Oh my God! So you're a Walking Dead fan, huh?
oh my God, am I not? I'm a Walking Dead fan. Of course, I'm a Walking
Oh
Dead
my
fan.
God! But you love zombies, but you like it when they get
do.
beat up, don't you?
Well, it's survival of the fittest. And the Walking Dead went away from that. Well, it's still a movie or a show about zombies. There still are that physical threat, that natural threat out there in the world. But over the years now, it's become more about the monsters that humans have become and how terrible they can be and how depraved they can be in some instances.
I think that's the larger theme of what the podcast is going to be about is what connects us to these monsters, these stories. How have they endured for so long, and how have they changed, and what does that say about us as they change?
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty good because because most shows that go on forever, like I forget one of the show, but it's like that they instead of starting off, zombies killing zombies and all that stuff, but actually it's like they're just going full circle to make it like how a human being is with another human being,
Yeah.
And
that's honestly the bigger threat on a lot of these shows now. I mean, I know a lot of the fan bases kind of fell off. We still watch The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, and the spin-off shows. And we're still kind of, maybe not as diehard as we used to be. We don't watch them every single Sunday because, #kids. But we still watch the show. We still are into it. And I know a lot of the fan bases fell off. But that's essentially what it's come to, is it's no longer, there is still the natural threat, but more than anything, the plot, the subplot, everything is revolving around the human aspect and kind of the monsters that they have become in some cases because of what the world has become.
And the main show's motto actually is "Fight the dead, fear the living," which is very fitting.
Yeah.
For their main storylines.
I believe that, because I'd rather spend, an evening with a bunch of ghosts. And
yeah, fight the dead, fear the living.
That's it, man. Because there's some crazy people out there, dude. There is a lot of crazy people.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are like, yeah, safety in numbers. Not necessarily.
No, it isn't, man. Because everyone's going to be like, but I know I'll come up to your house if there's ever a zombie attack. And you better tell me whenever there's a Bigfoot around, because I do want to get up there.
Well, if I see a Bigfoot around, yeah, I mean, we're a little bit more residential now at our new area, but we still have woods. There's still woods nearby that, anything could happen. Oh, you know what? You want to hear about a crazy story that happened last year? Speaking about, I don't know if this is, so we're getting back to the UFO story. This happened last year, right before the pandemic hit. So early March. I mean, like literally right before pandemic, before everything shut down. March 2020. I just happened to let the dog outside. It was night. Just happened to let the dog outside, and I saw in the distance, again, same trajectory, looking towards Laurel Mountain. So in that same area, there was this weird light in the sky that was really bright. I don't know where the camera is, so I'm like trying to not block my face. So weird light in the sky, really bright. From weird light in the sky, there were other mini lights kind of shooting off of it
Oh,
in
wow.
a straight line pattern, and they were like equidistant, like so they were coming off at the lights coming off of it were dimmer, and they were streaming out at like equal distance pacing from one another. So if it was like I had the image in my head of like paratroopers jumping out of an airplane,
Right.
how you do it synchronized, so you have spacing between each other. So there was this string of lights coming out of big bright light, and of course I'm watching it, and I even took a video of it because it was like, what the heck is this? And then it disappeared, just like literally disappeared after a couple of minutes.
You saw the video?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. That would be pretty interesting. And to me, it's like where you live is like Area 51. Yeah. I have no doubt
I
in
mean, it
my
might as well
mind.
be.
I
Wait,
have no
my
doubt in
gym
my
is called
mind.
Area 56, so
Yeah, 1-5.
for a reason.
Yes. But you know what? Honestly, I have no doubt in my mind. Um, there is an underground UFO base up there where you live. I have no doubt about it.
There's something up there. I mean, even if it's just like a secret government hideout, like if they're doing something with, who knows?
You can drive past the Laurel Mountain summit on any night, call it late night, and you can see heavy equipment there idling, and it's not state equipment. It's it's a private contractor or what have you, but you can see it idling. You can see things going to and from that opening at the gas line. It is very active.
Yeah.
So
especially in that on those hours.
Yeah.
For
like in the middle of the night, there's no houses around. It's not residential.
Right.
There's no businesses. It's not like you're getting off the turnpike and you expect to see like a gas station with like, trucks refueling or something. It's literally the top of a mountain.
Now, this opening, does it go into the mountain?
Does the opening go into the mountain? No, I don't think so.
No, there, at least from my view, looking over the maps, it's all on top.
Unless there's some kind of like a bunker that eventually.
I'm sure.
I just can't see if there's any type of access points that go down because again, at the Laurel Mountain Summit, it is on the top. It's so this access road just kind of goes down the terrain of the mountain thereafter. So you're really, when you start there, you're already at the highest point. So there's not any elevation that is higher that can actually go into.
Now, any other strange things happening around there, around that area, besides
any other strange happenings? I know the lights has been a big thing that I still keep an eye. Oh, but didn't we see it not too long ago?
Just the other night, I saw a light at right about the same point that Carmen was referencing from 2020.
Yeah.
And as I was opening the door to let the dog out, almost as if it had seen me, as the door was opening, it shot back over the horizon again towards the Laurel Mountain Summit.
Okay. I if I had $100,000, I'd bet you a cup of coffee there's one down there. I have no doubt in my mind. Well, you heard
there probably is. There's
a mountain range, Laurel Mountain, right now.
Is it? What's the mountain range?
What's the
Laurel Mountain?
It's the Laurel Highlands.
Laurel Highlands.
But of course, we're part of the Appalachian.
So yeah, Appalachians.
Ledge. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's important to point out too that Western Pennsylvania does have a long history of the UFO lore. I mean, I think
Yes.
it's worth mentioning that the Laurel Mountain Summit is, as the crow flies, maybe 20 minutes from Kecksburg, where the famous Kecksburg UFO incident
Right.
occurred back in the 60s. And that's a very compelling story, even to this day.
Mhm.
Just based on the type of object that landed there, the shape of it, which was a bell or acorn like,
Right.
eyewitness reports of hieroglyphs on it. Also, as the object was coming down, it also looked like it made a course correction.
Mhm.
So it seemed like it was under some type of intelligent control before it finally came to rest in those woods. So again, Western Pennsylvania certainly is no stranger to this, and you were not, basically at that time when this was a much more industrious area too. I don't think it would be hard to put something on a boat or a railway and send it to Wright-Patterson, which of course
Right.
is just the next state over.
Yep.
There's a lot to consider there. And again, with this being one of the biggest mountain range on the East Coast, there's certainly a lot of space and room for things to happen.
Oh man, of course. I have no doubt in my mind that there is. But let me tell you a little story about Kecksburg. If you do your reading, whatever you call it, um, I forget the name. I'm tired. But research. Okay, that
Yeah.
back when Hitler, whenever the United States went over, because that Germany, the Nazis, they were really big into the occult. Okay,
Yes.
and here they built similar to what fell in Kecksburg. Okay,
Yeah.
but right before the war ended, they went over there and they took that, that bell thing, and they're saying that bell thing is actually was being run by the United States. You know what I mean? That Kecksburg, yeah, yeah, it's an interesting story. When they brought it over, a lot of people believe that our U.S. Air Force was actually
Mm-hmm.
somehow trying to figure out how this thing worked because it landed in Kecksburg, right? Okay, and then all of a sudden everybody saw it, and all of a sudden you got like 5 minutes later you had all the military surrounding the area. You know what I mean? It was so Kecksburg's an interesting thing, to look up on.
Yep.
But I'm really. Why do you think that Pennsylvania? Well, they are in the top 10. They're like number 5 in cryptids and Bigfoot and all that. Okay, especially Chestnut Hill over there by
Yeah.
Westmoreland County. Why do you think Pennsylvania is big for so-called cryptids and stuff? Why? Why do you think?
Why do we think Pennsylvania is big for so-called cryptids? Honestly, I feel like it's probably just because we have a lot more history. So it's not necessarily Pennsylvania in general, as much as it's just like the East Coast in general has been inhabited for longer.
Mm-hmm.
That we have more history, more written history from people that we just have stuff that's a little bit older. So because we have stuff that's older, I don't know, just kind of like.
I think given, the Mid-Atlantic's Native American heritage, where you have a lot of those legends and stories, passed down. And then,
Yeah.
of course, as the settlers had come through, those stories being translated to them, they take on a new life. And then, of course, as they're trying to settle this land, the things that they experience that they might not be able to explain right away, can
Mm-hmm.
quickly be explained as some type of cryptid. So I feel like, again, basically what Carmen says is the rich history of this country's formative years has really kind of set the stage for it. And then again, it's we live in the woods. Creepy stuff just happens, and you don't always know what you're looking at. And I think as humans, we're quick to try to label something, to make sense of it, and that's how these stories continue to thrive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now on Chasing Prophecy, we brought a lot of topics up on this. Now, Trish, lived in, I think, up in New York, and she was out in the woods all the time, and she would see elementals. Okay, do you think there are elementals up there? I'm talking fairies, gnomes. Do you think?
Oh
Could
God,
you?
yeah.
Could you?
Yeah, I
Have you
want to do a whole
witnessed any?
podcast or an episode on that, on, yeah,
Okay,
folklore.
right.
Absolutely believe, yeah, that there's fairies. And because not every monster is going to be bad. That's the other part of it, too, is like some of them are just tricksters, and
Hmm.
just like having fun with people, um, because they can.
Right.
And I don't know if it's just like me being like the girl, that I was into like the fairy tales when I grew up,
Hmm.
or when I was growing up, but not just like the fairy tales that you think I
Hmm.
kind of liked the darker, twisted ones,
Yeah.
of course.
Come on, girl. Yeah,
so,
that's my girl. Yeah.
so like I feel like, yeah, those are, again, anywhere you're in the woods, anywhere that there's going to be something that's connected to nature. It doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It doesn't mean it's evil. It doesn't mean that it's out to
Right.
get you and going to hurt you. It's just, yeah, something supernatural that maybe we can't explain.
Now, my question, Carm, to you is when you were out in the woods, or did you witness anything like that out there?
No, I've never actually witnessed anything.
No? Like
No, I
little
believe in
light,
it, but I've never seen it.
little lights popping around, like
Mm-mm.
dancing? Well, I'm going to tell you a quick story. When I had Paul, do you believe he's 31 years old now?
I can't believe that.
He's old. I'm getting old. I'm
You're
proud to
old.
be. I'm old. But when he was 8 or 9, I was over in Pleasant Hills and in a complex, and they built gardens all over the place. So him and I were sitting in the garden one night, and all of a sudden we saw all of these little bright little lights flickering all over the place. It was a little too early for lightning bugs. You know what I mean? Because it was still a
Okay.
little chilly.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, this is because Paul said, like, look at the little light, look at it. He was all excited seeing them lights, right?
Yeah.
And then the next morning we went out there to the garden, right? And there was a perfectly formed fairy ring,
Oh, no way.
all mushrooms, yes. Same height, same growth, complete
Yeah.
circle. Oh, yeah,
Complete
absolutely.
circle.
I was like,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that's real.
So I saw my fairies. Yeah.
You
But
saw fairies.
oh yeah, I'm good. I'm down with that. You know what I mean? I don't care what people think. They can judge me however they want. Being starting over a year and a half ago, I have dealt with and talked to and even experienced some stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but you know what? I will tell you this. But once you start getting into the research, you go down a rabbit hole. Okay, you really
It's
do.
true. You can go down a rabbit hole.
I'm telling you, in that rabbit hole. Um, Let me see. Liz has a question. Have you ever done an investigation in the woods?
Oh, say that again. I'm sorry. My headphones cut out.
Okay. Have you ever done an investigation in the woods? That this is from Liz.
Oh, yeah. We've done investigations in the woods before. We were at, do you remember, Shawn, when we did the little cemetery back the Yakagani?
Oh wow, yeah. That's right on the elegant. Was it the Mon Bike Trail or what was it called? The bike trail? Oh, that was
Some kind
crazy.
of bike trail, yeah.
Yeah,
We walked like a good like mile, maybe a little bit further from where we parked our cars in the
yeah.
middle of
Tell
the
the
woods,
story. Tell the
and
story. She's a good
it was this
storyteller.
tiny cemetery. I mean, so you're just walking down. It's a path. It's a legit path, bike trail, whatever you want to call it. So it's not like it's overgrown. It's well known, well traveled. People go down it. Um, but after you walk for a little while down the path, there was like a pavilion that had a couple of picnic tables. And then
Hmm.
right behind those picnic tables was this very tiny little cemetery. I don't think it was right up against the river, but I know it was close to the river.
Right.
But
To
it was really very
Roseburg.
tiny. It was old,
Right.
very old cemetery because I know whoever we were with, whatever group of people we had, there was a woman who was, she was kind of a young mom at the time, and she said, she kept trying to read the headstones, trying to make anything out, but it was really an old cemetery. It wasn't well kept up, that a lot of the names and years were kind of faded to the point that it was like unrecognizable by the naked eye. And she got very upset that the very first tombstone or headstone that she could read was that of a child, and she had just given birth, so she was kind of it hit her a little bit close in her recent labor and delivery, that the first one she could read obviously is the headstone of a child.
Yeah, that was a creepy one. Listen, I got a couple more minutes left here, Carn. Is there anything
Okay.
you would have liked to really spice up your show that you got coming up? And when in January you're going to start, and how can people get a hold of you? And
Yeah,
give
we
it
do
all.
have social media manager over here. We have Facebook, we have Instagram, we do have a YouTube channel, TikTok, Twitter, all with that same handle, Fear Embodied Pod. So if you're looking to reach out to us, one of us is going to reach back out to you. We'll get back in touch with you if you have any questions. I know that we're going to have some episodes that's just going to be me and him kind of flying solo. There will be episodes where we're going to have some guests, one of which is going to be this gentleman right here having me on his show. So we're going to be talking about supernatural fears. So anything that's maybe demonic, ghostly, of the spirit world. Kind of touching on the fear side of that.
Oh my God! Yeah,
specters
absolutely.
and vapors.
Yep.
Hey, listen, hon.
Eventually, we're going to kind of branch out and do some kind of chat where it's like a Discord kind of thing where we're going to have listener tales. So if you have scary stories you want to talk about, we'll have a way that you can drop a voice memo or a voicemail, and then you might be featured on a upcoming episode for listeners tales.
And really what the Discord will be is a community to keep these stories going, keep the conversation going, because as you know, we can talk at length for hours about certain things, and there's so many knowledgeable people out there, and it would be great for everybody to kind of come together and share experiences and what they know, and maybe get closer to the truth on a lot of these things. It's a very exciting thing. She's going to be a fantastic host, and
of course,
I'm very
I have no doubt
excited
in my
to
mind.
help her get this project off the ground.
Oh hell yeah, she's going to be good. She's going to be really, really good.
Thanks.
And
I'm glad you guys have faith in me.
Oh, I do. Of course, I always have. Always have. But listen, I got to run. The show's almost over. I got another minute, so I want to thank you two for being on the show.
No, thank you so much for having us. I really appreciated being a part of this.
I'm
glad.
Shawn,
thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Sure, and I would like to have you back on after you start doing your podcast, and we'll go from there. All right.
Very soon. We're still in the process of making the first one. I'm thinking probably the first or second week in January we'll have the first episode. Probably come out every other week.
All right. Awesome. Well, you guys have a good night. And
until then, check out the trailer on YouTube.
Yeah.
And that'll kind of get you in the right mindset for what's to come.
Carmen, what you should do is send that trailer over to my page, and then I'll just post it, and then we can go from there. Thank you, Liz.
I can do that.
Hey, listen, everybody, it's that time to go. It's like the end of the witching hour, the beginning of the witching hour, and I have to go. And everybody out there, please remember, I do pray for you, and I do care about you. And on that note, happy hunting. Bye. Now we got to wait for Joe to come on to pull us off. That's how it works.